Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about all of the books that I'm hoping to read in the month of February. As always, I'm going to try and keep this short and sweet with a very small list because I'm a slow reader. I can't read like 10 to 15 books a month, and so there's no point mentioning that many books. So without further ado, here are like 5 books that I hope to read in the month of February. So of course this first book is going to come to no surprise, and I received this yesterday. When I tell you, there was a palaver with this book. First of all, I pre-ordered it back in August last year, and then I received an email from the publisher the other day basically saying that it wasn't going to be shipped until today, which is Friday. And luckily enough, it got delivered yesterday. So it arrived a day before they said it was supposed to ship, which I'm very happy about because your girl was going to start getting mad because I honestly thought I would get this next week and I just needed it now. I needed it in my hands, and now it's here. And I can't stop staring at it. And that is, of course, House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas. This is the third book in the Crescent City series, and when I tell you, I have been anticipating this like nobody's business. Obviously, the second book ended with a huge cliffhanger, and honestly, it's been my Roman Empire for a very long time now. I honestly, I cannot get over that ending. It never becomes less shocking when I see videos about people mentioning it, and I'm just like, oh my god, that happened, didn't it? That really fucking happened. Obviously, I'm not going to mention what this book is about because major spoilers, and I'm not that person, so I will tell you what the first book is about. So we are following a young woman named Bryce Quinlan, and about a year prior in the first book, her best friend and other friends get murdered, and then a year later she ends up on this kind of like quest to figure out who murdered her, and along the way crazy things are happening. She ends up meeting this guy named Hunt who she has to work with, and they don't really get along. It's an urban fantasy. It's a Sarah J. Maas book. Things are crazy. I would say out of all of her series, I would say that this is my second favourite. Obviously Throne of Glass is first, it will always be first, but this series, it mixes the most amazing amount of fantasy with the best amount of romance, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I need to read this immediately. I'm currently in the midst of finishing a book, but once I finish that, you can bet your bottom dollar bill I am going straight onto this. I have seen people crying already. I have seen people in disbelief. I've also seen some negative things, and that terrifies me, but I feel like maybe people are going into this expecting the wrong things because of the ending of the second book. Honestly, I'm just going in just wanting to know what is happening with everyone. I'm so excited to read this. I cannot tell you. It's been so hard not to just pick this up and to not look at TikToks. Like, I'm fighting for my life. I am in the trenches now trying to sidestep all of the spoilers. I'm terrified. I saw one earlier that I definitely think was maybe a semi-spoiler. Yeah, I'm fighting for my life right now, so this is going to be the first one that I read soon. The second book that I would like to read in February, not necessarily in this order because I feel like this book straight after House of Flame and Shadow would be a lot, even for me, and that is Chain of Thorns by Cassandra Clare. This is the last book in the Last Hours trilogy. Obviously, if you've been keeping up with my other videos, you would know that I read the second book in January, and honestly, I just want to delve straight back into this series and finish it off whilst everything is fresh in my mind, because I enjoyed the second book so much that I just want to read the third one now and get it finished. So to give you a brief overview of what this series is about, it's set in a Victorian era England, and it's following some of the children of the characters from the Infernal Device trilogy. So obviously I won't go into this too much because spoilers, but essentially it is a Shadowhunter trilogy. It takes place in the Shadowhunter universe, and they basically follow Shadowhunters who are like half angels, half warriors, who basically protect the human world from the likes of demons, dark magic, vampires, all of that good stuff. And obviously in each series of books, crazy things happen, and this trilogy is no exception. I particularly love the Infernal Devices, and I've really enjoyed the Last Hours so far. I think that they are two of Cassandra Clare's best Shadowhunter books. Honestly, I would say if you're going to read any, read the ones that take place in London because they're incredible. They're done really, really well. You feel like you're in London, and the cast of characters as well, just the storylines are brilliant. And I just want to finish this one now because this is a trilogy that I said I would finish last year and I didn't. So the next book that I would like to read in February is one that I really kept thinking about last year and I just ended up putting it off. But that is These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. This is the first book in, I believe it's a trilogy, and it's essentially a young adult retelling of Romeo and Juliet, but it takes place in a 1926 Shanghai, and that sounds so exciting to me. I'm not like huge on the tale of Romeo and Juliet. Obviously I know what it's about, I've read it before, I've seen the movies, but I'm not like huge on Romeo and Juliet, like it's not my thing. But I do like the idea of a retelling of it, and especially one that takes place in Shanghai between two gangs. And I believe in this book we are following a young 18-year-old girl named Juliet, obviously, very original, and she is in one gang and her kind of like ex, like love called Roma is in another gang, and they end up having to work together because there's this kind of like contagion that's going around, and if it continues, obviously it means the end of both gangs. I'm very excited and interested to read this one. I think the main reason why I want to pick this up is because I saw a TikTok recently that mentioned a situation that happens in one of these books and it intrigued me. It was the same situation that I had with the Lift Your Hips for Me, My Love in Shatter Me. That one quote made me want to read the whole Shatter Me series, and I ended up reading it all in December just because of that one quote. So I feel like this is the Shatter Me situation all over again, and honestly, if I end up reading all books back to back, I wouldn't mind. I'm just really hoping that I'm going to enjoy Chloe Gong's writing. It's an author that I put off for a really long time. I've wanted to read her stuff. I've heard incredibly good things. And I think now's the time. I'm like in the mood for it. I keep gravitating towards it. My eyes are like zeroing in on it and I just can't stop. And I think I just need to pick it up now. The next book that I want to read in February is Legendary by Stephanie Garber. This is the second book in the Caraval trilogy. And if you watched any of my previous videos, you would know that I didn't really love Caraval. In fact, I think I gave it like 2 stars and I really hated it, and I didn't plan on continuing on with this series. However, I read Once Upon a Broken Heart, I think last year, and I ended up enjoying that way more than I liked Caraval. And reading that book made me want to read the Caraval trilogy and continue with it and finish it, because there's kind of like this storyline going on that you don't really have all the information to, and so you feel like you're kind of out of the loop. Because I've heard that people who read it like I have had the same journey from like not liking Caraval to reading Once Upon a Broken Heart to then going back to Caraval and actually enjoying it. So I'm interested to see whether I will have the same journey as them and like the same idea. This one actually follows the other sister this time, so it's already promising because I didn't like the sister in the first book. I thought she was a bit of a drip. So this one follows Donatella, and essentially the Caraval game isn't over for her. She ended up making a bargain and she essentially has to figure out what Master Legend's name is and essentially win Caraval, because, you know, that's the end of the game, like you would have won. And that's all I know. And you know what, I'm going to go into this and know very little. I'm just hoping, I'm really hoping that I like this one more. I know that at some point Jax makes an appearance. I don't know if Legend is Jax. Maybe Legend is Jax, I don't know. I really don't know, but I'm excited to see whether I enjoy this one, because this book could definitely settle whether I continue on with Caraval or not, because if I don't like this one then it's definitely over for me. So then the last book that I'm hoping to read in February, I thought I'd mix it up a little bit because I know I've been reading a lot of fantasy recently, and although I definitely want to make 2024 the year of fantasy, because I feel like I don't feel like I read that much last year, but apparently it was my biggest genre that I read. I didn't quite believe that. I feel like I read a good mixture. But I need to read something else. So I'm mixing in my first thriller of the year, and that is Undone by Karen Salter. The reason that I'm reading Undone by Karen Salter is because I know I love Karen Salter's books, and because I'm reading House of Flame and Shadow this month, and then I'm also reading this book, I feel like the books that I'm reading are just going to send me into a slump, because I'm just going to be in this kind of like headspace of like, oh my god, not only do I have to wait a stupid long time probably for the next Sarah J Maas book, I'm also finishing a series that I really love, and I just feel like it's going to put me in slump territory. So I feel like I need more books by authors who I know I'm going to love, and I love Karen Salter's books. So this is the third book in the Will Trent series, so I won't really tell you what the other books are about, but essentially you're following a detective named Will Trent. Will Trent is my baby. I want to protect him at all costs. He is the most wholesome character that I've read about so far in a Karen Salter novel. He is dyslexic, he's really sweet, but he's not scared to like throw a punch or two. Oh my god. Will Trent is my baby. I love him. I've loved the book so far in this series. I really loved Grant County, which I definitely would recommend you reading before you ever pick up Will Trent. But Will Trent so far has been incredible. Now I'm going to read you the synopsis for this one because it's really, really short, but the main reason I'm excited to read this one is because Sarah Linton shows up. Sarah Linton is a character from the Grant County series. She's actually one of the main characters from that series, and I'm very excited to catch up with her because if you've read Grant County, you would know about that bombshell of an ending in that series. I don't think I've ever gotten over that ending. If I'm comparing that ending to anything, imagine the ending of House of Sky and Breath, but that was the end of the series. It's that kind of ending. It does wrap up, like you don't necessarily have to read Will Trent afterwards, but the fact that I'm going to get to catch up with Sarah Linton and see what she's up to, I'm so excited. So the synopsis says, when a tortured young woman enters the trauma centre of an Atlanta hospital, Dr. Sarah Linton is thrust into a desperate police investigation with Special Agent Will Trent and his partner Faith Mitchell. Though guarding their own wounds and their own secrets, Sarah, Will and Faith find that they are all that stand between a madman and his next victim. That's all it says, but basically all you need to know about Karen Salter's books is that they are a complete bloodbath. They're incredibly twisted, incredibly dark. Don't read them if you've got a weak stomach. Don't read them if you don't like gore. Just if you don't like dark things in general, and I mean really dark things, just don't read Karen Salter's books, please. I beg you, don't read them. But if you are into that stuff, I highly recommend. So those are the 5 books that I'm hoping to read in February. Please leave me a comment below telling me what you plan to read in February, or if you plan to read any of the books that I am. If you enjoyed this video, then please don't forget to give it a like, and if you want to see more content from me, then don't forget to subscribe. And until the next video, I will see you then, so bye guys.